What if I told you that Warren Buffett, a man worth over $130 billion, made two of the biggest investment mistakes of his life, and those very mistakes made him even richer? He passed on Google, even though his own company was one of its biggest advertisers. Then he bet $10 billion on IBM, thinking it was his safe gateway into tech, only to watch it crumble. But here's the twist. Those two failures laid the foundation for the most profitable investment of Buffett's entire career, Apple. In this video, we'll unpack why Buffett missed Google, how IBM burned him, and how those painful lessons helped him make over $100 billion on Apple stock. By the end, you'll learn what even billionaires get wrong, and how you can turn your own mistakes into once-in-a-lifetime wins. Let's dive in. The Google miss. Now imagine this. Your company is paying millions of dollars every month to one business. You see the power, the dominance, the cash machine it's becoming, and yet, you don't invest. That's exactly what happened with Warren Buffett and Google. In the early 2000s, Geico, one of Buffett's own companies, was one of Google's largest advertising clients. Buffett had a front-row seat to Google's growing stranglehold on online search and ads. He even admitted, "I blew it. I should have had insight into Google." Geico was sending them a check every month, so why didn't he buy? Simple. It didn't look like a Buffett stock. It didn't have tangible assets. It wasn't predictable like Coca-Cola or American Express, and it carried that scary label, tech. Instead of digging deeper, he threw it into the too hard pile. Fast forward 20 years, Google's up over 50,000% since IPO. That one miss, it cost Buffett tens of billions of dollars. But it also planted a seed. Buffett started realizing, maybe I've built a wall around tech and maybe that wall is keeping me out of some of the best businesses in the world. And that realization would haunt and help him soon after. IBM blunder, Buffett's $10 billion safe tech bet, that went wrong. After missing Google, Buffett still hesitated with tech until 2011. That year, he did something rare. He dove into a tech company, but not Google, not Amazon. Instead, he picked IBM. Why? To Buffett, IBM looked like the perfect tech but not really stock. Trusted brand, recurring enterprise customers, a 5-year roadmap, full of promised earnings growth, and most importantly, it felt safe. He poured over $10 billion into IBM, thinking he'd finally cracked the tech code. But there was a problem. IBM wasn't inventing the future, it was defending the past. While Amazon and Microsoft were eating up the cloud market, IBM was still selling aging hardware and falling behind. Its moat was shrinking, its vision wasn't working, and those 5-year goals, not even close. Buffett later admitted, "I was wrong. I didn't value the competitive position correctly." He eventually sold it all, quietly, and at a loss. But here's what's fascinating. Missing Google showed Buffett what happens when you ignore innovation. Losing on IBM taught him what happens when you overtrust legacy. And both mistakes set the stage for something huge. Because when Buffett finally saw Apple, not as a tech company, but as a consumer powerhouse with insane customer loyalty, he didn't hesitate. He went all in. Stay with me, because what he saw in Apple, and how he turned failure into a $100 billion win, is the real masterclass. The Apple redemption. How Buffett turned to tech mistakes into $100 billion. So after missing Google and getting burned by IBM, you'd think Warren Buffett would swear off tech forever. But here's where the story flips. Because what Buffett did next wasn't just unexpected, it became the greatest investment of his entire career. In 2016, Apple was in the news, but not for good reasons. Analysts were worried iPhone sales had peaked. Growth was slowing. Wall Street was panicking. But Buffett saw something they didn't. And here's the plot twist. He didn't think of Apple as a tech company. He thought of it like he thinks of Coca-Cola. It's not a gadget. It's a lifestyle. Buffett noticed something different about Apple. Repeat customer behavior. Just like Gillette or Coke. A product ecosystem that kept people locked in. A brand moat so strong, people lined up overnight for the newest iPhone. This wasn't some fast-moving tech gamble. It was a consumer brand with luxury-level pricing power, scale, and stickiness that rivaled anything he'd ever seen. And here's the kicker. Buffett didn't go small. He loaded up, eventually buying over $35 billion worth of Apple stock. The result? That investment became worth over $100 billion. It now makes up 40% of Berkshire Hathaway's portfolio, and it generates billions in dividends every single year. Buffett himself said, "Apple is probably the best business I know in the world." He didn't just recover from his tech mistakes, he used them to make his greatest investment ever. And the best part, Apple wasn't obvious, but it was understandable, if you knew what to look for. And after Google and IBM, Buffett finally knew what that was. Full circle moment. The man who once said, "I don't understand tech," became the biggest backer of the most valuable tech company on earth. Why? Because he stopped chasing categories and started following consumer behavior, durable moats, and simple business truths. In the next section, we'll break down the 5 key takeaways that made this transformation possible and how you can use the same thinking in your own portfolio. 5 powerful investing lessons from Buffett's Google, IBM, and Apple journey. So what can we, as everyday investors, actually learn from Warren Buffett's tech detour? Because here's the truth, this isn't just a story about stocks, it's a masterclass in decision-making, humility, and evolution. Let's break down the 5 biggest lessons you can take straight from Buffett's playbook. Lesson 1. Don't fear what you don't understand, learn it. Buffett didn't understand Google, so he stayed away. He didn't understand tech, so he played it safe with IBM, and it backfired. But when he finally took the time to study Apple, not just its financials, but how people use it, love it, and live with it, he found the real opportunity. The key learning here is, don't hide behind circle of competence forever. Expand it intelligently. Lesson 2. Moats aren't made of machines, they're made of people. IBM had servers, sales teams, and decades of dominance. Apple had customers lining up overnight just to be first in line. A company's moat today is built on customer loyalty, habit, and brand gravity, not just balance sheets. Lesson 3. Stop labeling stocks, follow the business. Tech scared Buffett off Google. Old tech pulled him into IBM. But Apple, he didn't see it as tech at all. He saw it as the next Coca-Cola, a brand with repeat buyers, pricing power, and global reach. The lesson is don't invest based on category, invest based on cash flow, behavior, and durability. Lesson 4. Study your losses like case studies. Buffett could have ignored the Google miss. He could have covered up IBM. But he didn't. He reflected, adapted, and refined his filters, and it led to his biggest win ever. Your past losses aren't failures if you extract the formula behind them. Lesson 5. When it's right, go big. When Buffett finally saw what Apple was, he didn't nibble. He went in with tens of billions. That boldness turned into over $100 billion in returns. When you find a high-quality business with a durable moat at a fair price, bet with conviction. So here's the big takeaway. Warren Buffett missed Google, lost billions on IBM, and then made over $100 billion on Apple. Not because he was always right, but because he was willing to reflect, evolve, and act boldly when it mattered most. The best investors aren't the ones who never make mistakes. They're the ones who never stop learning. Buffett didn't let ego or past failures define him. He used them to refine his strategy, sharpen his judgment, and make the greatest investment of his career. And if the world's greatest investor can learn from his losses, so can we. If this story gave you new insight or changed how you think about investing, hit that like button and subscribe for more real-world case studies, money psychology, and timeless lessons that help you think like the legends. Because success isn't about being perfect, it's about getting better, decision by decision. See you in the next one.